Wake up in the morning. Wake up, Atlanta. It's time for coffee. Talk presented by Spotify. Fresh vibes, real talk.
Let's get started, shall we?
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, good morning, good evening. If you're watching and catching us here on a wonderful, wonderful Tuesday, if you're watching this on LinkedIn and our Instagram Live, you guys are tuned in to one of the baddest, and I do mean this, Hope and audience, the baddest podcast show. This is Coffee Talk, powered and presented by the lovely, the wonderful Spotify. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, boy howdy, welcome back to another exciting podcast. And if you missed us on tonight, you guys can catch us again at 8 a.m. in the next morning on all audio platforms you get your podcast from. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, boy howdy, welcome back to another exciting radio show, another exciting podcast. Um, wow, just thank you guys for your patience. Thank you guys for your viewership. And thank you guys for you guys understanding. Let me tell you, it is so blissful. I'm so blessed to be back into the same studio. Um, where have I been the last week? Because I know last week you guys missed us with podcasting, and I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I did say this on previous episodes last week, ladies and gentlemen. I have finally finished my move. Now, if you guys know, you know, I recently just moved to a new home, and I love it. It's beautiful. We got things straightened out. We've got the furniture and everything out and out and about. I do want to say to everybody out there, thank y'all so very much for your patience. Thank you guys so very much for your grace. This last week has been a fun week, but it's been a hard week because we've been in the mix of moving. And let me tell you guys something. I will say this. Hiring movers are like the best thing since sliced bread, hands down. I cannot have moved all the things that we had in our old house to our new house in 1.5 days. It wasn't gonna happen, ladies and gentlemen. But I am very, very grateful and blessed that I was able to be able to hire movers. And let me tell you guys something: hiring movers again. I'm not an advocate for moving companies out there, but let me tell you guys something. USA Family Moving Company, they get it done right. And the price was right. It wasn't an arm and a leg to get the folks to come out and move my stuff. It was a very blissful time where they came in, they assessed the old house, and they said, okay, we're moving this and this and this. They wrapped everything up carefully. They moved everything carefully, and they got it in. They disassembled and reassembled. They moved some things around. I had a lot of heavy objects, a lot of heavy items to be moved. So I think going forward, I'm going to hire movers. Regardless, I'm going to hire movers when it comes down to it because it is just one of those things that I think I'm getting a little bit too old to move myself. And I'm just saying that because I'm not too old, right? Um, but when it comes down to it, I am getting a little bit older, and if you guys know, you know, and my family members could testify on this. We moved a lot, right? We moved a lot as we were kids, so we're used to the U-Hauls and packing things up. And it's no fault to my parents that we moved a lot, but we moved a lot, and it just really goes to show you that you get tired of moving after a while. And when I moved into the old house, I didn't hire movers. I moved everything myself, and that took a whole week, right? It took a whole week to just move things behind and move things to from a apartment to a house, and now move to a different spot. It was a lot. So USA Family Moving Company, they got it done right. The quote was right. They brought three people. There was two guys and a girl in a big gigantic truck, and they were younger. They looked like they were a little bit younger than me, so they were a bit more spry, and they got us done. They got us done, and we moved for about a day, right? Or at least if we started at 11 and we ended around like 5. So it didn't take me that long for this move, which I'm very, very grateful for. I did get rid of a lot of stuff. You know, one thing you learn when you move to a different house that you want to start over, you want to get rid of the junk, right? I had a lot of junk in my house that needed to be decluttered out. Wasn't going to be, it was just going to be stored in my new house. And I'm like, okay, I'm not bringing junk to my new spot. So I got rid of a lot of things, a lot of furniture, a lot of artwork that just didn't serve me any purpose. And I just got rid of the clutter. And of course, I kept some things of mine. And it's been very fantastic within the move. It feels good. Let me tell you guys something. This move feels right. It feels amazing. It feels right. I don't move as often. I think within me moving to a new house or new place, I kind of try to stick it out for 2 to 3 years, maybe 4 years, 5 years, stretching it. But then I move on to something else, right? And I think I'll be in this new place for a second because I'm first of all tired. I still was tired from moving. I can't say that I was not exhausted from moving. I was still exhausted from moving. But it just goes to show you that moving is just really not my favorite thing to do. So if I can relax and chill for a minute, boy howdy, I'm gonna relax and chill for a minute. Um, Very, very exciting when it comes down to that with the move. It's just a fresh new start. It's a fresh new start for me. It's a brand new birth, new change. I am getting ready to turn the age of 30, so that's kind of a pre-birthday gift for myself is to get moved into my new spot, and it's really swanky. It's really amazing. It fits me. It gets me very, very excited. There's just going to be a lot of good changes when it comes down to it. Um, but it took 3 days. It took me a day. It took me almost like 11 to 5 to move. And I said to everybody on social media that we weren't going to be podcasting, we weren't going to be radio station because I had to get everything moved. Typically for me, when I do move into a new spot, I try to get the house in order, right? I back in the old house, I had things everywhere. I had a whole bunch of stuff everywhere, and I just couldn't function. So I told everybody on social media that, hey, we're going to be closing the podcast shows down just for 3 days, right? Because I got to pack this stuff up, move to the new spot. I have to unpack my new spot and get my new spot in order, and that took approximately about 2 days because I had to get things moved around. I had to go back to the old house, clean that old house up with gunk and trash, right? Then I had to put my decor and put everything right into my new place. Had to mount my TVs, had to get everything right, and that took about 2 days. So that was Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Saturday we didn't do a pod because we didn't have this studio didn't move, but the what had happened was studio was moved because we had to move out of that space as well because our contract was up with that space. So we had to move that space out too. So that was my Saturday, trying to get that set ready for you guys. And then also, it took about Saturday. And then Sunday was Easter. Typically, Easter, I don't like to work on Sundays, and I don't like to work on holidays. So I told Evelyn that because she texted me, she said, "Hey, is the studio ready?" Or I know it's Easter on Sunday. Are you trying to record? I said, "Not necessarily." This is what I told you, not necessarily because the studio's not quite ready yet, and it's Easter Sunday. So I do plan on going to church and going out for Easter. Boy, howdy, was my plans changed. And I'm gonna get to that story in a minute. So we ended up holding it off because I know a lot of people were looking for what had happened was podcast. We're gonna record this coming weekend. I'm sorry to a lot of people that was looking forward to it. It's just the studio just was not ready, and I just didn't want Evelyn to come to an unfinished studio when we're not ready to set up cameras and lights and go. So stay patient with us. What had happened was, fans, it is coming. New episodes are coming. It's just the studio now. Studio is ready, right? It's gonna be ready by the end of this week. So studio's ready. I think the only studio that didn't change was Studio Latte, Coffee Talk. This studio didn't change at all, and we didn't move out of this space. So 3 days, right? 3 days of moving, 3 days of still going to the gym, 3 days of shipping some things off. I did, and I will tell you guys because I do have a movie review in this episode. But this podcast is really, and I'm gonna be glad to announce that I'm gonna be joining Dave and Hope with their stories. I'm going to be joining Hope with the front page news, and I'm going to be joining Dave when it comes down to our top stories, whether it's gaming related news. We won't talk about, and I think I said this in the last coffee talk, Hope and audience, and for all of the people that's listening, we won't talk about sports anymore because we encourage you guys to take a look and listen at Playgrid Sports Podcast presented by Amazon Music. That is our official sports podcast. If you want to hear us talk about sports, you got to listen to the Playgrid Sports Podcast because that is a designated podcast that Amazon Music is helping us out with to talk about sports. We talk about any and all sports. WNBA season is here. Very, very excited for that. And I might be lying a little bit on Coffee Talk because I am going to talk about Angel Reese coming to Atlanta in a minute. But that's just kind of that's kind of just the first news in sports that we'll talk about this episode. But we won't dabble so much into sports. That's what Playgrid Sports Podcast is about. Um, so dabbling into it, 3 days of moving and 3 days doing our thing, and 3 days filming Guardians as well. Things did not go as planned when it came down to Sunday and Monday. Some things worked out with this move, some things did not work out with this move. Now, they're not a sponsor for us, but I encourage people if you've got speaking of which I got rid of some declutter. um I was able to declutter and I was going through the old house attic and I had a collection of PlayStation 3 games. Now, if you guys know, you know PlayStation 3 is one of the best generations you can ever had. I haven't dabbled in playing these my old PS3 games. I'm a bit of a collector, or at least I was, right? And as part of me decluttering and getting some things out the way, ladies and gentlemen, there was two boxes of PlayStation 3 and Wii games that I've had. So I needed to sell that collection. What? Kennedy sold his game collection? Yes. Let me tell you why I did it. I needed to sell it because I've this is part of me as I'm turning the page, and I'm not saying, ladies and gentlemen, that I'm getting super duper old. I won't say that, right? Because I'll be turning 30 next month. That's not an old age, right? But it's a different generation. So I've lived 3 decades. I had to get rid of this video game collection because I know that it was cluttering and just collecting dust in the old house attic. And I didn't want that in my new storage in my new home. So I said to myself, okay, what can I do to these games? Hence, one of my favorite YouTubers, Caleb, he runs a YouTube channel. It's called Quick Flips. I gave Quick Flips a try, and long and behold, I put in the games that they are offering, and I got a good return. I got a good return out of it. I got approximately from this sale about $400. And Evelyn said it best. When you're trying to declutter and get rid of some things, you need to you got to make sure that your money works for you. And so that's exactly what I did. I make my money work for me. So it's not a sponsor for Quick Flips, but I do believe they do pay top dollar for your old video games. They really do because $400 for 2 boxes of PlayStation 3 games ain't half bad, right? So I went in there. They do free shipping, right? I marked the games that I had into their website. They did this where you can create your account and you can create a batch. And I created a batch of games. They'll give you the shipping label. The one thing I'm not really too keen on, and it's not their fault because they have to use USPS. I'm not a big fan of USPS because I mean, that's just how there is. I loaded the 2 boxes there, and the lady at the counter of USPS was giving me a hard time. Obviously, I knew that were going to give me a hard time. I don't really rock with USPS. I don't. I think the workers are lazy. I think they're lazy because they have no job morale. I think they're lazy because they may not have been paid enough for doing this job. It's like hard job. You're dealing with a lot of angry people. You're dealing with people, period. So now that morale doesn't really spark interest for me for USPS. I would never work at a USPS. I just don't think it's worth it. I really don't. I got in there. We it was a line full there. I said, okay, I knew this was coming. The manager, what looked like he was the manager, he as I muted the mic accidentally, he came out and he said, it was like, I need somebody up in front. We got a full line. He was just yelling at people in the back. I'm like, oh Jesus Christ. I'm glad I don't work here. Um, and it's not to say that people that work at USPS, they're not working hard because they are, but it's just a lot. It's a lot going on. So I ended up, I finally got done taping it up. I had to buy a thing of tape, tape the boxes up. And the lady was like, "This is how you want to ship it?" I was like, "Yes, I don't have any other options, honey. This needs to be shipped." So I shipped it over to them. They got it. Their storefront is based in Lexington, Kentucky. And of course, 3 days later, I've got my PayPal payment of the games. Money well spent, money well sent as well when it comes down to that. I was very happy about that. And now that's out of my hands. It's less things I got to worry about this move. And as soon as I got moved, ladies and gentlemen, I tell y'all, pollen season, pollen season, pollen season, pollen season. Now, I said to you guys Wednesday, April 1st, I was outside all day moving. I was finishing up that Thursday. I wrapped Thursday and started decor decorating on Friday. Um, Saturday, I was in my new house cleaning. I bought a new shark machine. The shark machine was vacuuming, getting my stuff ready, getting my kitchen right. My bedroom was looking right. My bathroom was looking closet, doing the whole night. My office was looking right. Saturday, my brother, shout out to you, Alex. Big brother comes. He mounted a couple TVs in my house. And then I went to the gym. I went to the gym. Surprisingly, there was a lot of people in the gym. I was, I don't know what it was. It was an influx of a lot of people going to the gym on Saturday, this past Saturday. A lot of people, they were creeping up on there. The trainers was there. A couple of old gym crushes popped up. I'm like, oh shit, okay. Um, a lot of ladies was in there. A lot of gentlemen was in there. We were in there. Everybody was in the gym tight. Shout out to Crunch Snellville as always. They were in the gym tight. I'm feeling good. I had some old clothes that I was getting rid of. So after that, I went to Goodwill, donated some clothes. That's just the one thing I did donate. I didn't look to get money from was my old clothes that was again in the attic collecting dust. I said, okay, let's just donate this to Goodwill because let's put these stuff to good use. Got home. I watched this anime that came out in 2011. This One Piece cross Toriko cross Dragon Ball Z anime that's on Netflix. I was like, where'd this been? Maybe some chicken wraps, and I was enjoying it. Saturday night, y'all, I felt a little sniffly. I was sneezing a little bit more than usual. My throat was numbing up. I'm like, oh, what's going on? I didn't think nothing of it. Sniffling, and I'll get to the story because I'm getting over it, right? I wake up Sunday. Sunday, it's Easter. It's a rainy Easter. Shout out to people that celebrated Easter. He has risen. You guys know me. If you know me, you know me. I am a man of God. So of course I had to be at church. Obviously on Easter, I had my best fit on. I was looking cute. I was looking handsome. Haircut. Beard was bearded. I was in there. So I'm stepping in there. Well, first let me back up. I'm getting up. My throat sore, sniffling a little bit. I'm like, oh shoot, am I getting sick? I took a shower and I'm like, okay, it's just a little sniffle, but I'm still gonna go to church. I rode to church and shout out to Change because I do go to Change Church. I'm over there. I got front row. One thing I like to do is I don't want to be a priss about it, but when I go to Change, because I go to Change in Gwinnett, I drive over there to Gwinnett. So I go to change in Gwinnett because the cab's a little bit too far for me. When I go to church, I do like to sit up front because I like to be more engaged with Pastor Daniels. Shout out to PD. I don't like to sit in the back. I don't like to sit in the overflow room. I think now that what change is doing is change church. They're in Gwinnett. I don't know what DeKalb does in Gwinnett. They open like the little garage doors and they have chairs for people to sit near the sanctuary so they can be more in tune. I don't think none of us like the overflow rooms because it's like the overflow rooms is an overflow. We have too much people, and they sit in a room with a screen with the feed of the sanctuary, and you're watching a screen. I never want to do that. If I got to go to church to look at a screen, I might as well stay at home and watch it at home on the laptop if I have to do that. That's why I have to pride myself to get up every Sunday early enough Sunday, drive there and get there on time because I don't like the overflow rooms. I get the concept of it. I need to be in the sanctuary because I'll be more in tune. So I am sitting up front row. I'm looking good. I'm a little sore throat, sniffly a little bit, but it's okay. So I am doing my worship, and I don't know if they didn't have the AC on or not, but I was hot, hot as in fever hot. And I'm like, okay, what's going on with me? So after worship, I'm sweaty. I'm sitting down, and my stomach, it's like somebody stabbed me in my gut. My stomach was hurting so bad, y'all. I'm like, okay, I'm not feeling well because my stomach hurt. I'm sweaty. My throat is sore. I'm sniffly. I think I'm getting sick. So I went to the bathroom. I blew the bathroom up. I did. I had to let it out. I came back. I listened to PD's sermon, and I was gonna go to the gym right after that, but I said, "Oh no, I need to go home." So I ended up going to Kroger to get some medicine, some remedies, because I can feel it that I was getting sick. What I like to do is, of course, get the over-the-counter medicine, Dayquil, Nyquil, some lemon tea, some immune system, some Boost emergency, some orange juice. I was getting prepared to be sick. And I prayed on it because I knew that, I knew I was outside the last 3 days in this pollen. I didn't want to be sick. So I got in. Oh, and also bought like 4 things of chicken noodle soup because I was getting prepared. I got home, I took a shower, and I felt bad. I felt really, really bad. I had chicken noodle soup and some tea. I was in my PJs. I loaded up the TV at home, and I laid there. I laid there, and I was out. Of course, I took some Mucinex because I had mucus in my nostril too. I was out Sunday, and then I was also out on Monday. Typically, we open the offices on Monday. I said, guys, I'm not opening the offices on Mondays. I am not feeling well. I was sick on Monday, being yesterday. So it took me about a day and a half to do my remedies. And obviously, I woke up this morning fresh, energized. And if you guys can hear it, I'm not super nasally. I'm getting over the sniffles, but it's one of those things that it does say. I do say to a lot of people, please be careful. Pollen season is getting to a lot of people. It got to me this weekend. A lot of my colleagues, a lot of my friends, they've been sniffly this weekend because of the weather. Crazy weather that we're having. So to a lot of people, please be careful, because it's real, it's out there. But before I turn it over to me and Hope, of course, on the podcast, we want to extend our congratulations and welcome to Angel Reese. Angel Reese has been traded from Chicago Sky. She will be coming to the Atlanta Dream Team, and I can't wait to see what she does on the court. Angel Reese is not only a ball player, but she is a huge mega star. Of course, we saw her latest Victoria's Secret commercial. She's out there doing the damn thing. So, Angel Reese, I got to say to you, honey, welcome to Atlanta. We hope that you are able to do what you need to do here in Atlanta. While I was in bed yesterday, sick as I don't want to say sick as a dog because I thank God that it wasn't influenza, a flu, it wasn't a fever, it wasn't a cold. It was more of a small common cold. I was able to watch a lot, and I do mean this, a lot of movies back in the day that I loved, and hence this title. I'm gonna do a old movie review, and I guess it's kind of an old movie. It's not that old. This movie called Wild Hogs. Okay, this movie is starring Tim Allen, William H. Macy, John Travolta, and Martin Lawrence. It's one of those good movies, y'all. It's about these 4 guys who are bikers. They are part of the Wild Hog crew. There's bikers, and they're having midlife crisis. Of course, Tim Allen's character is a dentist, but he can't eat a lot of meat and can't eat the vulgar meat and stuff. He has to eat salads and fruits. Meanwhile, Martin Lawrence's character, his name is Bobby. He's a wimp because his wife, played by Tisha Arnold, he works as a plumber. The wife is very successful, and the wife talks at her. He's like the bitch ass husband. John Travolta's character he was the rich guy, but his ex-wife was a supermodel. They were the top star, but now they're getting a divorce. And William H. Macy's character, Dudley, he never had a girlfriend. He's a stud muffin, right? He's a stud when it comes down to the love to the ladies, but he never had a girlfriend because he's too shy. He's a technician. He's a computer programmer, but they're all bikers. So now they're taking this road trip, but things don't turn out how they think, because they get into some trouble with Ray Letta. Shout out to Ray Letta. Rest in peace, Ray Letta. He plays the bad guy that was in these big biker gangs, and he can't stand the four guys because they are pretend to be bikers when they're not really bikers, because they're middle-aged men and they're squares, right? And of course, towards the end of the movie, Dudley trades in his bike for a piece of crap, and then they took his bike. But then John Travolta goes back and steals Dudley's bike back. John Travolta characters also cut the gas lines of these bikes, and they blew up the bikes and blew up the barn when they're traveling throughout cross country. They're going to the East Coast for the West Coast for their refuge, and they're trying to live out the glory days that they once had. Very, very good movie. It's a buddy. I don't want to say buddy cop movie, but it's a buddy movie. It's comical. It makes me want a bicycle, and I think I'm gonna make that happen. I may not get a hardcore Harley Davidson motorcycle because there's just too many accidents that happens on those. But one bike that I had my eye on is the Can-Ams. The Can-Ams with the two wheels on the front and the big wheel on the back. I think I'm gonna invest in one of those. Because they're very inexpensive nowadays. Um, and they look really swanky. It's safer. it counts as a bicycle, ladies and gentlemen. Don't say that they don't count as a bicycle. It is a bicycle, but it's a two wheels in the front, one in the back. I'm gonna buy the jacket. I'm gonna buy the helmet with it. I'm gonna be, maybe if I'm going to the gym, just riding along there. Maybe it makes me want to get a bike because I just never had a bike before, and I think this will be something I will opt in for, because I did say, and I'm not buying this because of a midlife crisis, ladies and gentlemen, because I did say I wanted something premium for my life. And I don't think I'm going to get a dog because a dog has a lot of responsibilities. I looked at the pricing of a dog, I look at the responsibilities of the dog, I look at the liabilities of a dog. And a dog, I would prefer to get a motorcycle over a dog, to be honest. So that's what I'm thinking about getting in my future. Hey, maybe it'll happen before I even know it. Because it makes me want to be a biker now after seeing that movie. It's a good movie. I recommend you guys see it. It's one of those gems that people love it or hate it. People are gonna clown it or not. It's still a good movie to watch. I always recommend to watch something that fantastic. So shout out to Wild Hogs. And I know that was my short movie, brief movie review. That's pretty much the synopsis of the movie. Um, it's really, really good. A lot of hardcore music is in this too. Like Highway to Hell. Yeah, that hardcore movies in that movie is well deserved. Um, again, it's just one of those. Again, John Travolta, Tim Allen, Martin Lawrence, William H. Macy. Those are just so unique actors in their own right. And you're mashing them into a movie. I love movies like that. I really do. All right, so I'm going to turn it over to me and Hope coming up next, and then I'll close up Coffee Talk, presented and powered by Spotify.
Wake up, y'all! It is now time for the front page news of the day on Coffee Talk, presented by Spotify. Yeah!
Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Coffee Talk, presented by Spotify. Okay, Kennedy, how many times have we seen a story start with a shooting and somehow end up with a conversation about a Super Bowl bet? That's exactly what's happening with Offset right now, and it's as chaotic as it sounds.
Oh, I know. It's one of those stories where you think, wait, how did we get here? Offset recovering from a shooting is serious enough. But then Ebro jumps in with this $5,000 bet, and suddenly it's a whole different conversation.
Right, so let's start with the shooting itself, because that's the core of this. Offset's spokesperson confirmed he's fine and receiving medical care, which is obviously a relief, but the details are still so vague. We don't know what led to the shooting or why it happened near the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel in Florida. It's unsettling how little we know.
It really is. And then you've got Lil Che's arrest thrown into the mix. Authorities are saying he was involved in a fight before the shooting, but his lawyer, Don Florio, is adamant that he wasn't responsible for the shooting itself. She even said Lil J has not been shot, nor has Lil J been charged with any shooting. It's such a strong denial, but it still leaves so many questions.
Exactly. And that's what makes this story so complicated. On one hand, you've got Offset recovering in the hospital. On the other hand, you've got Lil Che being arrested for what seems like a completely separate incident. A fight, not the shooting itself. It's like two parallel narratives that might intersect, but we don't have the full picture yet.
And then, of course, there's Ebro's commentary, which is just adds another layer of chaos. He's out here talking about how Offset owes him $5,000 from a Super Bowl bet they made in New Orleans. It's such a bizarre thing to bring up in the middle of all this. Why now?
I know. And the way he brought it up was so casual, too. He's like, Offset's fine. I tried calling him last night. And then, boom, he pivots to this whole side story about the bet. It's such a wild tonal shift. Like, do we even know when this bet supposedly happened?
Apparently, it was during the Super Bowl in New Orleans, so it's not exactly recent. Ebro even admits that he's talked to Offset 1,000 times since then, but never brought it up. He says it's not a big deal to him, but the fact that he's mentioning it now kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Totally. It's like he's trying to downplay it while also making it a headline. And then there's the part where he compares his situation with Offset to Lil Che's. He says something like, if I'm not worried about $5,000, I don't think Jay would be worried about Offset owing him money. It's such a strange leap to make.
It really is. And it makes you wonder, was he trying to make a broader point about money and relationships in the industry, or was it just a random tangent? Either way, it adds this bizarre layer to an already complicated story.
That's the thing about stories like this. They're never just about one event. They spiral out into these tangents and side plots. Like, we're talking about a shooting, a bet, and now Lil Che's arrest. All in the same breath. It's kind of overwhelming.
It is, but it's also a reflection of how interconnected everything is in the entertainment world. You've got these personal relationships, financial dealings, and legal issues all colliding in real time. And then you've got people like Ebro who are part of the industry, but also act as commentators on it. It's a lot to unpack.
Absolutely. And speaking of unpacking, let's talk about Lil Che's arrest. Authorities are saying he was involved in a fight before the shooting, but his lawyer, Don Florio, is pushing back hard against any suggestion that he was responsible for the shooting itself. She even said, Lil J has not been shot, nor has Lil J been charged with any shooting. It's a pretty strong denial.
It is, and it makes you wonder, what's the real story here? If Jay wasn't involved in the shooting, then why was he arrested? Was it just a case of being in the wrong place at the wrong time? Or is there more to it that we don't know yet?
That's the million-dollar question. And it's not like we're going to get all the answers right away. These kinds of cases tend to unfold slowly with new details trickling out over time. But in the meantime, it leaves a lot of room for speculation, which can be dangerous.
Definitely. And that's where the media plays such a huge role. You've got outlets like TMZ breaking the initial story, but then you've also got people like Ebro adding their own spin. It creates this ecosystem where the lines between fact and opinion can get really blurry.
So true. And let's not forget the role of social media in all this. Fans are out there dissecting every little detail, forming their own theories, and spreading them like wildfire. It's both fascinating and a little terrifying.
It really is. And it makes you appreciate how important it is to have reliable sources. Like the spokesperson for Offset saying he's fine and receiving medical care. That's the kind of concrete information we need more of, but it can get drowned out by all the noise.
Exactly. And then you've got people like Cole Blake, the writer who covered this story for Hot New Hip Hop. He's been doing this for years, covering everything from the YSL Rico trial to Diddy's allegations. You can tell he's someone who takes his work seriously, but even he has to navigate this chaotic landscape.
Right? And it's not just about reporting the facts. It's about providing context and cutting through the noise. That's what makes good journalism so valuable, especially in a world where everyone has an opinion and a platform to share it.
Couldn't agree more. So, where does this leave us? We've got Offset recovering in the hospital, Lil J denying any involvement in the shooting, and Ebro talking about a $5,000 bet. It's a lot to process, but I think the key takeaway here is that we're still in the early stages of understanding what really happened.
Absolutely. And until we get more concrete details, all we can do is try to separate fact from speculation and keep an eye on how the story develops. It's a reminder of just how complex and interconnected these situations can be.
Well said. It's a lot to keep track of, but it's also a fascinating look at the intersection of celebrity, media, and real-life events. Let's hope we get some clarity soon for everyone's sake.
Agreed. And in the meantime, maybe Abro can hold off on bringing up that Super Bowl bet again. Timing is everything, after all.
Huh? Yes, timing is everything.
Wake up! Get up! We starting the day!
Let's get into it. Our top story of the day on Coffee Talk presented by Spotify.
Turn it up! Let's go.
Welcome, fellow adventurers and cinephiles, to Film Focus, your weekly dive into the biggest releases hitting screens. I'm Marcus Thompson, and today we're setting our sights on the stars, literally. Illumination, the studio that brought us the first Super Mario Bros. Movie, has launched its ambitious sequel, the Super Mario Galaxy Movie. Hitting theaters this past April 1st, this film promised to expand the Mushroom Kingdom beyond its familiar borders and into the vast cosmic playground of the galaxies. But does it deliver a universe of wonder, or is it merely a black hole of fan service? We're going to navigate the critical reviews, including IGN's recent take, to give you a comprehensive overview of what this galactic adventure truly offers. Get ready to jump, because this is one conversation you won't want to miss as we explore if this movie truly shines bright. Let's first talk about what the Super Mario Galaxy Movie undeniably gets right: its spectacular presentation. According to IGN, this film is packed wall-to-wall with Easter eggs and references, a veritable feast for any Nintendo fan. From 8-bit animation nods to beloved locations bursting with countless characters as blink and you'll miss them cameos, the visual department truly excelled. The design elements organically call up the original NES game's side-scrolling look, which is a fantastic touch. And Brian Tyler's score? It riffs on practically every iconic piece of music Mario Bros. Games have ever featured, ensuring that your ears are just as delighted as your eyes. This attention to detail creates an immersive, nostalgic experience, pulling you into the rich history of the Mario universe. It's a genuine celebration of everything we love about Mario, visually and audibly. However, even with all its dazzling appeal, the critical consensus, particularly from IGN, points to a significant flaw: the story. While the first Super Mario Bros. Movie grounded its spectacle in a simple, relatable tale of two brothers proving themselves, the Super Mario Galaxy movie struggles to find an emotional core. The review notes that there's not traditionally a ton of story with Super Mario Bros. What was so savvy about the Super Mario Bros. Movie from 2023 was that underneath the Rainbow Roads and Kong armies was a story about two brothers. This sequel, unfortunately, becomes so crowded that none of those relationships have a chance to stand out from the others. Whether it's Bowser Jr.'s quest to rescue his father or Peach's journey for answers, the narrative threads are abundant but underdeveloped, leaving viewers with no reason to care.
Despite the narrative shortcomings, the film does deliver on the action front. IGN praises Illumination's skill in this area, stating that the action is actually pretty good, and the fight scenes here are genuinely fun. Imagine Peach and Toad kicking ass in a casino, a sequence described as closer to the Matrix sequels than a kids' movie, or Mario's intricate wuxia-flavored encounter with Bowser Jr. These moments provide thrilling, visually engaging set pieces that showcase the animation studio's prowess. However, the review also points out that while the action is entertaining, it occasionally highlights the lack of a compelling backstory, making you question how a plumber became a fisticuffs master so quickly. It's a classic sequel pitfall, where it definitely gets bigger, as a good sequel ought to do, but not necessarily better in terms of character depth.
Ultimately, the Super Mario Galaxy movie is a double-edged sword. On one hand, the sheer volume of Mario references is exactly what die-hard fans might crave, creating a vibrant, detailed world filled with delightful nods. On the other hand, this relentless focus on fan service comes at the cost of narrative cohesion and emotional impact. Without some kind of relatable story thriving underneath those references, it's not as effective as it could be. The charm of the filmmaker's clear love for the Mario Galaxy is palpable, and it's this charm alone that prevents the movie from being truly forgettable. It's a shiny, visually impressive spectacle that prioritizes all the stuff over a resonant plot, making it a film that's bigger and shinier than the first, visually speaking, but misses the mark on emotional engagement.
So, what's the final word on the Super Mario Galaxy movie? IGN gives it a 6 out of 10, labeling it simply okay. It's a film that will undoubtedly thrill fans seeking an avalanche of Easter eggs and references, and it delivers genuinely fun action sequences. However, if you're looking for a compelling, emotionally resonant story that makes you care deeply about its characters beyond their iconic status, you might find yourself wishing for more. While it's bigger and shinier than its predecessor visually, it lacks the strong emotional core that made the first film so effective. So if wall-to-wall references are your cinematic jam, then prepare for a good time. Head to the theater, grab your popcorn, and explore this visually stunning, albeit narratively thin, galaxy. See for yourself if this okay experience truly warps you to another world.
Wake up! Get up! We starting the day!
Let's get into it. Our top story of the day on Coffee Talk, presented by Spotify.
Turn it up! Let's go!
Okay, so here's something to think about. Microsoft's Xbox Game Pass is adding Call of Duty Modern Warfare to its lineup this month, and it's not even the biggest headline. How wild is that?
That's a pretty bold statement. I mean, Modern Warfare is huge, but you're saying there's even more to get excited about?
Absolutely. April 2026 lineup is stacked. We've got everything from Hades 2 to The Elder Scrolls 4, Oblivion Remastered to quirky indie games like Tiny Bookshop. It's one of the most diverse months I've seen for Game Pass in a while.
That's what makes Game Pass so interesting, though, right? It's not just about the big blockbuster titles, it's about offering something for everyone. But let's start with the heavy hitters. What's got you most excited?
Honestly, it's hard to pick just one, but I'd have to say Hades 2. The first game was a masterpiece, tight gameplay, incredible storytelling, and that stunning art style. The sequel has some big shoes to fill, but I have no doubt Supergiant Games will deliver.
Oh, for sure. Hades was one of those games that just clicked for so many people. But I'm curious, What about The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remastered? That's a classic, and the idea of revisiting it with updated visuals and mechanics is pretty tempting.
Is definitely up there. Oblivion is one of those games that defined a generation of RPGs. The remaster is a great way to bring it to a new audience while giving longtime fans a reason to dive back in. Plus, it's a reminder of just how far Bethesda has come since then.
All right, and it's not just about nostalgia, it's about preserving these games for future generations. But let's talk about some of the other titles on the list. What's the deal with Replaced? That one seems to be getting a lot of buzz.
Oh, Replace is fascinating. It's set in a dystopian 1980s America and combines a cyberpunk aesthetic with 2.5D platformer gameplay. The story revolves around an AI questioning whether it can become human. It's got this cinematic thriller vibe that feels really fresh.
That sounds like a lot to unpack. And then there's Vampire Crawlers, which seems like it's taking inspiration from Vampire Survivors, but adding a turn-based, roguelite, deck-building twist. That's a lot of genres mashed together.
It really is, but that's what makes it intriguing. It's like they're trying to reinvent the wheel in a way that feels both familiar and new. And then you've got Kiln, which is just completely out there. Pottery making combined with multiplayer battles. Who comes up with this stuff?
It's definitely unique. But that's the beauty of Game Pass, isn't it? You get these quirky, experimental games alongside the big-budget blockbusters. It's a platform that encourages creativity and risk-taking.
Exactly. And it's not just about the games themselves, it's about the value. For the price of a subscription, you're getting access to all these titles. Some are brand new, some are classics, and some are just hidden gems you might not have tried otherwise.
That's a good point. And it's not just about variety, it's about consistency. Month after month, Microsoft is delivering lineups that feel intentional and well-rounded. It's hard to argue with that kind of value.
Totally. And when you look at the broader picture, it's clear that Microsoft is really trying to make Game Pass a must-have for gamers. They're not just adding games, they're curating a library that feels cohesive and appealing.
Right, and I think that's why Game Pass continues to stand out in an increasingly crowded subscription landscape. They're not just throwing random games onto the service. They're building a library that feels cohesive and appealing.
And they're doing it consistently month after month. That's the key. It's not just about having a great lineup one month and then falling flat the next. They're keeping the momentum going, which is impressive.
It really is, and I think April 2026 is a perfect example of that. There's so much to look forward to, whether you're into RPGs, shooters, strategy games, or indie titles. It's a good time to be a gamer.
No kidding. So let me ask you this. If you had to pick one game from this lineup to recommend to someone who's new to Xbox Game Pass, which one would it be?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I think I'd go with Hades 2. It's accessible, it's gorgeous, and it's just so much fun to play. Plus, it's a sequel, so if they love it, they can go back and play the original too. What about you?
I'd probably say The Elder Scrolls 4, Oblivion Remastered. It's a classic for a reason, and the remaster is the perfect way to experience it for the first time or to revisit it if you played the original. It's just one of those games that everyone should try at least once.
Solid choice. And honestly, that's what makes this lineup so great. No matter what kind of gamer you are, there's something here for you. It's hard not to be excited about what's coming next.
Absolutely. And with the way things are shaping up, I think Xbox Game Pass is only going to get better. It's definitely a good time to be a subscriber.
Couldn't agree more. So, are we firing up Hades 2 or Oblivion Remastered first?
How about both? We've got time, right?
Always. Let's do it.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Hope. Of course, we want to send our thanks to Hope, Marcus, and Dave. I love you guys so very much. You guys make this show pop. And just shout out to Rachel and Sarah. Like I mentioned, they didn't get cut. Rachel and Sarah, they do our sports news, but they're going to be catering to Play Grid Sports Podcast presented and powered by Amazon Music. So you gotta take a look at that podcast because that's going to be a show that we solely talk about sports when it comes down to it. We hope everyone have a fantastic rest of their day, hump day. It's Wednesday. I say to a lot of people again, stay safe. boost your immune system, take medicine when you can, because pollen season is still here. We have a high pollen count. It's getting to a lot of people. So I just got to say, stay safe. That's all I can say when it comes down to that. Until then, ladies and gentlemen, this has been Coffee Talk, powered presented by Spotify. We'll catch you guys in the next episode tomorrow. Until then, peace, love, and respect from our entire cast and crew here in the studio. Until then, we love you guys. Stay safe, stay swanky. Peace.
We bring in good energy.
This has been Coffee Talk, presented by Spotify. From our cast, we thank you for listening.
Yeah.